Oh, it's a great day already. Weather's warmer, mostly in most parts of the country. Spring is in the air. Spring has sprung. It's riot season. What? Yeah. No, honestly, are you ready for riot season? Because the radical crazy people sure are. It's supposed to be a big weekend, but they're telling us it's not organized. Right. Just like 2020 wasn't. Anyway, but we're ready for it this time. We'll talk about that. The hero female fencer from USA Fencing had to take a knee to make a stance. I'm sure you've seen the video of that already because it's gone viral. It happened midweek, but now she's talking, so we can talk about it. Unbelievable. This may be one of those turning points. Maybe because of what she did. We'll talk about that as well. But DOGE says, well, actually Trump says, DOGE made a shocking, horrible discovery. But we don't know what it is yet. More shocking than what they found already? Maybe. And we'll talk a little bit about these tariffs. How's that going? We'll get a little bit of swampy political stuff too in here, but mostly it's Friday, and I hope you have a great weekend. Welcome to it. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio. A little bit of business news here, a little bit of housekeeping. So this took a while to organize, but it's all there right now. So as you know, the live stream every day, where I just have to talk about this stuff, and we kind of set up. This is where I kind of like make all my clips for all the other stuff, so I just kind of knock it out in the morning. The Wicked Radio live stream every single day right here. As you know, if you've hung out with me for any amount of time, live here on X and on Facebook and on YouTube. My personal account here on X, you can always see the replay. For all of this stuff, though, it's officially name change because it's going to expand into some featured interviews. I can talk about that now. Some deeper dives into the stuff we talk about. So, name of the Facebook page, just look for Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. Same thing on YouTube, Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. But part of that every single day is still going to be the Wicked Radio live stream. Capiche? We got that down? So nothing really changes except a name. But I'm telling you, with these social media platforms, it takes forever to change this stuff. So that's finally done. And some interviews coming up. I think it's some interviews with people who will add to things I'm talking about already that I think you're going to enjoy. It's going to be like life solutions with all the stuff we talk about, one conversation at a time. So anyways, that's coming. And the audio podcast, as always. Same thing, Wicked Wisdom, and wherever you like to get that, you can find the Wicked Radio live stream every single day, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, enough of that. Let's get to it. Happy Friday, everybody. First and foremost, her name is Stephanie Turner. She has become a hero, whether she wanted to be or not, because she is the female fencer who literally took a knee, refused to compete this week against a male pretending to be a woman, a transgender who was allowed by USA Fencing, that's the key to the story here, to compete against women. She took a knee. She said, I'm not doing this. Now she's talking about it, and she's explaining exactly why. And she also talked about the policy from USA Fencing. She talked to Fox, I think it was just last night. Here's what she said.
There's nothing for me, and there's everything for him. Because I have no choice as a woman, as a female, in where I compete. I am a woman, and I have an athletic disadvantage to men, so I compete in the women's division, which is where I rightfully am. But he has been given this opportunity to fence in the women's division, and he can compete. He can easily compete in the men's division. He can also compete at mixed events in local tournaments if he wants. There is a place for him. So the idea that they're creating, they're expanding the women's is just essentially making it an open tournament that can include men, and it ends up hurting me and other girls.
Yes, and that's the key to the whole thing. It's hurting female athletes in this name of diversity and openness and inclusion. And USA Fencing, they had a beauty. They said, to expand the sport and make more people aware of what fencing's all about, we want to open it up to everybody, including males competing against women. No, they're not males. Yes, they are. They're biological males. Yes, they are. And it's time to stop pretending that they're not. This is nonsense. And she said it right there. That's the policy. Good on John Roberts. He was the interviewer from Fox. He asked a great question there. He said, well, what did your opponent say? Because there's a part in the video there where he walks over to you and asks if you're okay. And Stephanie said, I said, I respect you and I appreciate you, but I'm not going to do this. I'm going to take a knee. I'm not going to compete against a biological man on her part, right? His response, the competitor, the other fencer, that's fine, but there's a USA Fencing official here and he sides with me. Okay, right. By the way, her opponent that she lost to, I'm using lost in finger quotes if you're only listening right now, has also and currently competes against men as well. Okay, then you have a category. As she said, you've got a space, so why are you doing this? And you know what sucks? as much as a hero as she is, this is what it's going to come down to. This is the only thing that's going to stop this madness is the female athletes. Like her, literally, she had to take a knee to get a win in this, to force the issue, to get the attention on it, to stop this madness. That's what's absolutely necessary on it. So she has to, on her record, and she's a serious competitor, she has to take a loss. She has to take the L on her record in order to fight this madness because nobody's standing up for her. Not USA Fencing, not the overall International Olympic Committee. God knows. You remember the boxing story from last summer? God knows that's not happening. Nobody else is. And if you know me, if we've ever talked about this personally or remember from radio days, I've said it for years now. I'm on like 5-6 years. I don't know how many hundreds of times I've said this out loud in public. Where are the feminists that fought for women's sports for so long to get it done? And I congratulate them for what they do. They fought hard for this, for equality in women's sports. They got Title IX done for equal funding at colleges and high schools. They got that done. They fought for coverage of it. They did a great job with that. They were fantastic. And it was a decades-long fight to finally get this recognized. Where'd they go? Are they around? Like, where's their... Are you so afraid? You're so afraid of the backlash or being called transphobic that you're willing to sacrifice the careers and effort, in many cases money and opportunity of your fellow female athletes because you're afraid of being called a name. This insanity has to stop. She's a hero. Good for her. But what sucks is she has to take a loss on her record to get the win for her fellow athletes. That's actually that's how pathetic this is. That as a society, we haven't stopped this soon enough, that we allowed this to creep in, that we allowed people pretending to be women to compete against actual women and taking their opportunity away. Well, that doesn't really happen, Bill. That's not true. Oh, really? Just look it up. Look at the female wrestlers who have lost to men. Look at the volleyball players who have lost to men. Not in some cases, there have been quite a few field hockey players that have lost him, lacrosse players that have gotten injured on the field. Because as Stephanie said, there is a major physical difference between a person born male and a person born female. That's just common sense. But we allowed this to creep in because we were all afraid of being called a name. No more. No more of that. This is of the mindset now where we're not putting up with this crap. But who made the sacrifice? Again, who paid twice in this issue? The women. Stephanie Turner had to take a knee. Literally take a knee, take a loss to get more attention to this. It has to stop. It's not right. It can't continue. And don't be afraid to be called a name when you fight against this. You can't be afraid of it because it's insanity. And it's also insanity that comes at a price for these female athletes. Can't have it anymore. No more. Stop it. Their insanity is not our problem. No more. You can't. So it sucks that she had to take a loss to get this win for her fellow athletes and herself down the road. But that's what it's come to. Sad. It's just sad. But she did it. So this may, like I said, the good news in all this may be one of those turning points, though. Riley Gaines, of course, got a lot of attention because she's really good with the media. She was the female swimmer who kept on losing to the dude, right? Who time and time again, she lost championships. She had to fight for her scholarship going into college. She was a University, I think, of Kentucky swimmer, lost time and time again, but took a stand on this and turned it around. I think this Stephanie Turner is taking the mantle from her and is promoting the idea that you need some common sense with this. It's just insane. It's just insanity. You can't put up with it anymore. Don't be afraid to be called a name. Don't let them call you transgender simply because they want to push this insanity. No more. No more of this crap. All right. So I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more from her. Like I said, whether or not she wants to be a hero in this movement, she is. She's just, this is a big turning point in it. All right, moving on. We're not going to spend too much time on this stuff, some swampy political Washington, D.C. stuff, but how are the tariffs going so far? Well, if you looked at the stock market, not so good. A lot of red. A lot of people afraid to check their 401k. I don't know how this happened. Don't ever take financial advice from me, God knows, or really anybody else except a professional. But I actually did, with one eye open, check my 401k at the end of trading yesterday. It actually went up a tiny, tiny little bit. So something I did with my formula that I don't check every single day actually went up. So that was good news. But what was it? $2 trillion lost in the market, as predicted. You know, if you listen to anything in the media yesterday, anything in mainstream media, they would have told you that the country's over. Oh, it's over. Oh, you're all in the poorhouse. Oh, my God. Oh, God, it's the Great Depression. Oh, my God. Who didn't know that this was coming? I said it yesterday. Of course, it's going to be short-term pain for long-term gain. Now, Howard Lutnick, who apparently a lot of people are thinking that that's Trump's tariff guy who came up with the whole idea and they nailed it all down. He said yesterday in several interviews that the U.S. has already secured $6 trillion in investment and infrastructure building in the country from companies that were going to invest overseas. That's what he says, $6 trillion coming back already. But also, I always boil this down to, like, as you guys know, from a personal level. It's like if you were getting ripped off, and these are reciprocal trades. This is the tariff being put on us by other countries. Talked about the Canadian cheese example yesterday. Over 240% increase for any dairy products you take in from Canada. We think that's fair all of a sudden? And of course you feel that, and I feel that, and the farmers feel that. Of course they do. The American workers have gotten ripped off forever, but no more. That fight to stop it, of course, is going to cause short-term pain for long-term gain. You got to have the mindset to be ready for that. If you were ripped off on a personal level by your neighbor every single day, or one particular store you went to, would you put up with it forever? No, you wouldn't. But at first, when you stopped it, it would hurt for a little bit because you couldn't get what you want. But I would bet, no economic expert, I'm no economist, I would bet that a lot of these countries are going to feel the pain and come around again. That's just me. And from a personal level, again, don't take financial advice or investing advice from me, but sure looks like a buying opportunity to me. Some stocks are lower that maybe you couldn't afford before. Just saying, that's how I look at this thing. Speaking of the tariffs, President Trump made some statements about tariffs here recently. How we got to stop the bleeding. We got to stop this insanity. Let's go to what he said about it. Oh, sorry, just kidding. This was from 1988 on Oprah.
The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings, and yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not.
That's when the narrator would step in. Actually, he did run and won twice. Listen to the voice, too. Listen how different he sounded. So much younger. It was 1988 on Oprah. Trump has been talking about this forever and ever, but finally got a chance to actually institute this stuff because he says, he's got... The interesting thing of most of all about Trump in this term is, unlike a lame duck president, he's got nothing to lose. He's not, despite all the talk about Trump running 3 times, that's not going to happen. No. So he's got his last chance to do it now. He knows a lot better now. He knows who to hire and who not to hire, who to believe and who not to believe. And he's just getting it done. So, again, I look at this like short-term pain and long-term gain for the country and most likely everybody individually, too. It's just the way I see it. Couldn't go on the way it was. Look at it that way. You want to keep getting ripped off? I don't think so. What I liked about this, too, going back to this Lutnick guy, apparently is his trade czar, this Howard Lutnick guy. He said something very interesting yesterday when he was talking about the $6 trillion coming back to the country. I like that he talked about what kind of manufacturing job this is going to create going forward, because we've all thought about it. I'm sure if you paid attention to the news at all here, and some economists and futurists will say that manufacturing jobs are going to look a lot different. We better start training kids differently. We better start, trade schools better get hip with technology, and robotics is going to be key. We have to stay ahead of the rest of the world with this, or we're going to lose again. Well, lo and behold, Lutnick said in a couple of different interviews yesterday, we're going to train our kids, we're going to train our young workers for robotics and electronic technology. That's thinking forward. Good. Like to hear that there are at least people in the administration thinking forward instead of backwards for a change. Good. Good to hear it. All right. A little bit more swampy DC stuff. Not tariffs, but the DOGE thing. We haven't talked about DOGE in a couple of days, but Trump was on Air Force One yesterday, and he gave us a big teaser about DOGE. Didn't say what it was, but it lets us have some fun and take some guesses on what he's talking about here. They asked him about DOGE, and he kind of let slip that they found something shocking and disgusting, he said. What could it be?
Something today that's horrible. It's horrible. So what
was
they
it?
found, well, you'll find out very soon. What they found is incredible.
All right. Well, what they found. And he thinks we're going to find out about that today, maybe over the weekend. Maybe there's an announcement, maybe a press, maybe not. Maybe they just start talking. Because DOGE has been transparent. I mean, the media is trying to tell you that they're doing this in secret. It's all right there. There's a website announced to it. Elon talks about it enough. Now you've got the DOGE team members talking about what they find in all their different departments. But what is it that they found that's disgusting, Trump says, that he would have talked about it in that manner? I think we know the guy long enough now. We've seen enough clips from him, maybe even going back in the day when he wrote Art of the Deal. I think we know enough about him now that upsets him the most. Something that would get him to say it's shocking and disgusting and horrible. Probably about election fraud. That's my guess. I don't know. I may be proven wrong today or over the weekend, next week, whatever it is. But I think here's my best guess, and let's see if we're right. What do you think he's talking about? I think they found that a lot of this fraudulent money going to the NGOs, the non-government organizations, and USAID was being used to not only skim off the top, but it was being used to fraudulently create mail-in ballots. That's my guess. Let's see if I'm wrong. Let's see if I'm right. But you take your guess to see what would elicit a response from Trump where he would say it was horrible. Because he's still bitter. Rightfully or not, he's still bitter about 2020. So what gets the most rise out of him on that what he would call it something horrible they found, I think it would be election fraud. That's my guess anyway. I don't know. We'll see. All right. You heard me say get ready for riot season. What is he talking about with that? No, I mean it. It's apparently riot season. It's not just spring. It's riot season, just like in 2020. Well, here's a TikToker talking about exactly that. Apparently tomorrow on the 5th, there's a big national organized protest against Trump, against Elon, against DOGE, against everything. They're just upset at everything. So here's one. I don't even know this girl's name, but there's lots of social media posts just like this. So here's what she's talking about.
Talking about every single inch of the nation will be rising up. It's not organized by the Democrats or the Democratic establishment. This is people volunteering to put on protests in their area and just going to do it. It's people organized. All the information about April 5 and the movement is going to be on handsoff2025.com.
Oh, they got a website. Okay. I love that part, though. I love that. Oh, that kills me every single time. But it's not organized, totally not organized by the Democrats. This is just people. Right. Just like the summer riots of 2020 weren't organized, right? You know, remember those ones they told us were mostly peaceful? The news reports are called it because they were told to call, the media was told to call those riots mostly peaceful as things are burning in the background. People got killed in those riots. Summer of 2020. And yet there was hardly any coverage other than the fact that this is America standing up for what's right. Right. And it's not organized by the Democrats. I don't know exactly what they're planning, but they're desperate now. And this is why I say, I didn't mean to scare you, but this is why I say, just be prepared for whatever, because these are desperate lunatics. Yes, organized by very bad people, and they're completely capable of violence. Look at the Tesla protests. This isn't just keying cars. That's bad enough. That's just weaselly. A lot of those arrests are happening. Tesla dealerships were firebombed, okay? These are desperate lunatics. They don't even know what they're upset about. They're like zombies. But here's the difference. People are prepared for it this time. Never advocating violence, of course, but who's falling for this? Like, what happens if tomorrow, and God forbid that this happens, what happens if there actually are violent protests somewhere, and you hope there aren't, of course, you hope that doesn't happen. What if they try to call this, through your favorite mainstream media outlets, peaceful again? Right? What if they try to promote this stuff? Who's going to buy that? Who in this day and age, anybody with half of a brain cell or common sense is going to say, yeah, I agree with that. That's mostly peaceful. This is just, protest is part of American life. Who's going to buy that this is not organized, not violent, and not completely unhinged? Nobody is, because we're ready for it now. So just mentally be of the mindset to be prepared for this stuff, for whatever happens. Never advocating violence, ever. I would never do that. But still, mentally be prepared for what this is. Don't ever buy what they're telling you about it. Especially what she's saying. It's totally organic, and it's not organized by the Democrats. We're not doing that. Sure. You want some proof? Not organized? Huh. Well, this happened earlier in the week, and I saved it because I knew this was coming. Representative, that's right, elected to Congress, Pramila Jayapal, Democrat. She was on a Zoom call, and this is what she said. Still tell me it's not organized.
We might call this getting strike ready. I think of it as getting us strike ready or street ready.
Oh, okay.
And part of that is understanding our own strength. And as we develop that strength, being able to assess our risk tolerance, because we know that risk tolerance increases.
But not organized. Right. Well, we're ready for it. I don't, not in a violent kind of way, but nobody's going to buy what they're telling us this time. It's peaceful. Mostly peaceful street ready. Right. And this is the craziest thing of all. Like the first TikToker I played there, she doesn't know what they're upset about. They really don't. They don't understand, because you've seen a lot of the street interviews where people will ask them, okay, well, how do you specifically, what are you mad at Elon about? They have no answer. What is it about? Do you have any idea about the background of this particular person being deported? They have no answer. They don't understand. This is why I say they're like street zombies. They have no idea. So I don't know exactly what they're planning for tomorrow, but don't buy what they're selling. No way, shape, or form. All right. It's kind of a dark note to head into the weekend, isn't it? Don't worry about it. Don't let that affect your life. Have a great weekend. Have a wicked awesome Friday. Again, a little bit of a name change here on the socials. So, audio podcast, wherever you like to get those, YouTube channel, and the Facebook page, all now, and this took some doing. Takes a while with these. They're all called Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. The Wicked Radio live stream, part of that every single day. But now it's going to include some, and I got some lined up already. I think you're going to like them. Some extended interviews, some deeper dive interviews for the stuff we're talking about, for some life solutions and some mindset stuff. So it's all coming. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it as always. And have a wicked awesome Friday, most importantly. Don't let anything bother you. Believe. I'll talk to you Monday.